Ladies and gentlemen, chapter number 2, balance of movement. Balance of movement is a very complex subject. Therefore, I need your full attention, total awareness, and open mind. We start by clarifying that it is very important to understand the usage of the natural forces. Only when we are able to use these forces as our friends can we increase power and balance through our movement. Which are these forces? We have gravity force, inertia force, centrifugal, and centripetal force. Later, we also will discuss regarding a mechanical understanding, which is called motion. But let's concentrate for the moment on the 4 natural forces, starting from gravity. If you have already watched chapter number 1, where we discuss personal balance and balance of couple, you will have a good understanding of how to use gravity. The most important point regarding gravity is that we do not want to have side loads, and we want to be constantly on balance. So we can move to point number 2, inertia. Inertia, ladies and gentlemen, is the force that keeps a ball that you decide to roll continue after you have finished your push. So inertia, it's a force that carries on a previous energy. We do not create inertia. Inertia already exists, but as soon as we start moving our body, this force engages. So I need to be able to redirect this force in order for me to be on balance when I move. So for example, if I'm dancing an impetus turn, the natural tendency once I create movement, once I create a bigger movement and a bigger energy, is that inertia will want me to continue in my previous direction. What we always tend to do is to then use muscles to stop that force. So we are starting one movement, and now we lock our muscles to stop that inertia from continuing. Of course, this is not good energy-wise for our body. It is the same as riding a bicycle and constantly stopping to change our direction. If you think of the way you ride a bicycle, the first 3 or 4 times we apply pressure on the pedals are the heaviest. After that, it becomes much easier to keep the natural force continue. When we decide to change the direction with the bicycle, we do not stop, turn the bicycle, and start again, but we simply change the direction of our bicycle by changing the flow of the movement we have created. When we dance, we want to do the same thing. Therefore, if I do an impetus turn, energy starting, I now want to redirect the energy so that I don't have to stop, use my muscles to stop, and use my muscles to start again. Therefore, if I do a correct one, you can see that the body is modifying, all the joints are activating in order for me to redirect the flow of inertia that I've created. You have to visualize this force because, of course, we cannot see it and we cannot really feel it at the beginning. So if you visualize water, for example, you must also feel the speed of the water. So you must guide this force. If I want to move water, I must feel the speed of the water and guide it. I cannot push through it. Inertia is the same. I need to feel the speed of inertia. I need to redirect inertia. I cannot force it. Therefore, I must have a great respect of the inertia force. Inertia can help me to become powerful and help me to save my own physical energy. Now later, we will see some steps that you can practice in order for you to learn how to redirect this energy. What you must remember is that inertia and weight are not the same thing. So one very easy mistake is to start redirecting the weight, which causes a side load, which causes a loss of personal balance. Instead of, the balance must remain vertical, and I can now use my joints to redirect the force, but still maintaining my perfect balance. If we take a throwaway of a sway, arriving maybe from a telemark telespin, there is a lot of energy and a lot of inertia. There's a directional inertia, there is a rotary inertia. We do not want to arrive with all this power and have to use muscles to stop these forces. But once again, we want to receive these forces, become aware of inertia, and redirect inertia so that it remains our friend. If I do an outside change, 1, 2, 3, very, very common mistake, because the energy is moving in this direction. We now change our body without changing the direction of the energy is pushing us out of balance. So again, I need to feel how I have to redirect this energy. How do I do this? Of course, by using the activity in my joints. This is also why we cannot have a stiff and hard body, because we must always receive these forces before we can redirect them. So I cannot reject a force. My body must always be able to receive, to absorb, and redirect. This goes for waltz, for tango, for foxtrot, for quickstep, for Viennese waltz. And now to point 3 and 4, centrifugal force and centripetal force. Very often these two big words, centrifugal force and centripetal force, scare people. I would like to think of them in a very simple way. Centripetal force is a force to the center of the turn. Centrifugal force will be a slight resistance to a force. Now, I am sure you still do not understand how we can use these two forces. We are applying these forces in relationship to our body and in relationship to the couple. So, for example, if I dance a feather step in foxtrot, by simply creating the correct action of my feather step, I naturally have a side of my body which is on the inside of the turn, and a side of my body which works on the outside of the turn. Once again, as I mentioned, in relationship to inertia, these are natural forces. Therefore, we only need to understand how they work in order for them to be our friends. So, I said centripetal force is a force to the center of the turn. Centrifugal force is a resistance to a force. Surely, a resistance to a force does not create power. Therefore, you now need to change your approach to a feather step, because general approach, left side being positive side, left side swinging on the outside of the turn. I need to now, therefore, concentrate on the centripetal force on the inside of the turn. By creating energy on the inside of the turn, I will automatically pull my side which is on the outside of this turn. Before I go any further, I will show you a little exercise that you can practice in order for you to feel these two forces. As I will show you the exercise, you will understand more how confusing the usage of these two forces can be. But before we go any further, let me ask Masaki to join me on the floor, please. So, if I am now centripetal force, so the force on the inside of the turn, and Masaki will be the centrifugal force, the force on the outside of the turn, which has to be a slight resistance. You can now see that if Masaki does not resist me, we are not creating any power. It doesn't matter how much pull I create, we do not create power. I therefore need Masaki to give me a slight delay in the movement, which will create a slight resistance, in order for us to create centripetal and centrifugal force. Who do you see as the positive part of this action? Of course, from the outside, it looks as if Masaki is running around me, and he looks like the positive part. This is where these two forces can become very confusing. If we now try the same exercise, and I do not apply any force to the center of the turn, and we now ask Masaki to run gently around me. Okay. He is now using a lot of energy to run around me, but we're not creating any true power. This is because we follow what we see. What we see is a very positive person on the outside of the turn. But what we need to understand is the person or the part of the body on the inside that creates that power. So if we do this one more time in the correct way, Masaki on the outside will look as if he is the positive part. But in fact, it will give me a slight delay. I will be the powerful one on the inside of the turn. I will pull to the center of the turn. Masaki will give me a slight delay. This will create the true power. So, as you can see, these can be very confusing forces, and it is very important for you to understand how to apply them to the body and to the couple. So, if we now relate this to my body, and we go back to the feather step we were discussing earlier. If my right side is Luca and my left side is Masaki, I do not apply the energy on my left side, which is Masaki, going around on the outside, but I apply energy on the inside of the turn. This can create true power. What you still see my left side being the positive one. This is where these forces can be deceiving. So what you normally call negative side, which is the side on the inside of the turn, I call positive side. That is the side where I concentrate on creating the power on the inside of the action. So if I give you an angle view of a feather step, the positive side will be my left side in visual. Mechanically, if I use the forces, my right side moving down and backwards will be the side that is creating the power. That always allows me to be on balance and to balance my movement with power. If my activity is focused on the outside of the turn, that will always pull me out of balance, because now I'm not respecting the natural forces, gravitational, inertia, centrifugal, and centripetal. So you need to rethink every step you are dancing and find where is the inside of the turn. And that will help you to understand and to use centripetal and centrifugal force, and therefore achieve better balance of movement and more power. So once again, if I do show you a feather step very slowly, you can see the activity and the energy going through my right side backwards and downwards into my right hip, pulling me through, and not pushing me through, which, as you can see, takes me out of balance. This is not only feather step, this is for any step in any dance. 2 walks in tango. General approach, right side being the positive one. No balance. understanding of inside turn, centripetal force. Left side moving back and down. I'm grounded, I'm powerful, I am stable, I have balance of movement. Therefore, any step, any action. If we go back to the throwaway oversway, general approach, right side being on the outside, positive action, no balance and no power. Left side being on the inside of the turn, pulling, stability and power. So if I show you this in position, again, you will see my right side be what seems to be the positive side. But all the work is done from my left side, pulling me to the center of my own turn. Impetus turn, if we stay again to the same steps we mentioned earlier. I am now dancing on the inside of the turn. So my left side will be my positive side on the inside of the turn. Now, if we relate this to two bodies,
2人で踊りますと、
therefore to the balance of the couple in movement, we always have an inside of the turn and outside of the turn as a couple too. So let's move backwards to the feather step. Who is on the inside of the turn? If I had Lorraine in front of me, Lorraine would be on the inside of the turn. So in relationship to my head and to my partner's head, I need to make sure that my head doesn't power through because I am on the outside of that action. Therefore, I need to make sure that the person on the inside is now pulling and creating the positive action to the step. If I am doing an impetus turn, and this is where things can become confusing, because in relationship to my body, my left side is on the inside of the turn. In relationship to the couple, the pull will be created from the right side, because my partner is now in this position. Therefore, as personally, I am very aware of my left side. As a couple, I am very aware of my head moving to the center of the turn. So now I have two forces, my own personal centripetal force, which is what my left hand is doing, and the couple one, which is what my head is doing. I do not expect you to understand the usage of these forces just by looking at me doing this. Remember, 3 levels of understanding. So I need you to once again pause your video, find the partner, and try to create these forces and feeling these energies. Where are they going? Where do they want to go? How can I redirect them?